I am lit and I am loving it. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Value for Value show. Yes, again, I am back. So you have your favorite mere mortal here, Kyrin Down. I am the host of the Mere Mortals podcast. I'm host of the Mere Mortals book reviews, and then I'm also host of this one, the Value for Value show. So this is coming into season 3 now. It's been a fair minute since I've last been back, and I thought it might be good to just read from the first episode kind of what the Value for Value show is all about, and then we can get into why I'm kicking it off again, some of the previous seasons, my reasons, the schedule, the format, style, the sections, and then, of course, some boosts and some value for value right at the end. So just reading from the first episode here, the Value for Value podcast, or as I will occasionally shorten it to, V for V, is a podcast for digital content creators. And I've actually changed that because I used to just say podcasters, but now this is including podcasters, artists, musicians, etc., anyone who creates digital content who want to find a way to earn a living without having to rely on the somewhat corrupting influence of advertising or setting up paywalls to block off a portion of your supporters. And it's an also experiment for myself to try out the new podcasting 2.0 tags and see if I can walk the walk and not just talk the talk, which is indeed what I'm doing right now. I am live, I'm lit. So if you ever tune in for this show on, I'll skip to the schedule here, live on a Wednesday morning, and I'll get more onto the actual details for that so you know where exactly in the world and what time you can join this episode. So I thought it might be good to just have a quick look at some of the previous 2 seasons and what I was trying to do with the podcast, and just go a bit of a recap over what was. So jumping here onto the first season was pretty much the philosophy. So this is where I was trying to figure out, okay, what actually is value for value? Why should I use it? Why is it better than these existing ones that I was talking about, using advertising and sponsorships and paywalls? And so some of the episodes I had here was talking about how free isn't free. It was talking about how you actually want to have a setup so that people can donate into the show, so they can show some support, because many times people will just buy some merch or some swag, even if they don't want it, just to be able to say that they've supported you. There's the why value doesn't mean money, and so going over the 3 T's, the time and talent and treasure, why you don't want to limit your listenership with a paywall, what value for value isn't, how you can kind of get tough love with it. And so all of this was kind of leading up to the conversation that I had with Adam Curry. And so that was this is Adam Curry, the podfather, one of the guys who invented podcasting, and then one of the guy, I suppose, who invented value for value as well with his show No Agenda, and John C. Dvorak over there. So that was the first season. It was a lot for myself, trying to understand these concepts and ingrain them into myself. The second season was where I went, okay, well, how can I actually implement these? And so I was kind of doing a little bit of a review show. I was looking at other podcasts. So these were things like Podcasting 2.0, Bowl After Bowl, the Sleek Podcast, No Agenda, Intergalactic Boombox, various others. I think that I did 18 episodes in total. And I was really trying to get a feel for, okay, what are some of the things that I can take away from this? How are other people doing this? And so some of the things that I got from this were highlighting your ethics, perhaps having a show that would lead into another show, about adopting the new tags, about changing your pitch, and so not just having the same thing, implementing a leaderboard, gamifying the process, creating a snippet, an analogy that works well with your show, such as Bowl After Bowl, where they were having this passing the bowl analogy. Lots of crucial things from there. I think if you are a podcaster, this is the season for you to have a look at, okay, how can I improve my own value for value pitch and make it better? And by making it better, you will get more support from your listeners, and also, of course, the very important thing of creating good content as well. That is, you can't forget about doing that. So those were the 2 seasons. What is this season going to be all about? What is the 3rd season of Value for Value? Well, this one, once again, is kind of it's using it as a way of getting my own thoughts out of my head, and trying to help people. So if you go on to episodes 17 and 38, that is some good summaries, I think, of the previous ones of the previous 2 seasons. The reason for this is I created an episode on the mere mortals because it looks this is called episode 394 of Meanderings, and the title of this was Podcasting 2.0 and Value for Value, Delivering on the Promise of Bitcoin. So I had created this Evernote, which was just massive, and it was all of these random thoughts of these snippets that I had been accumulating for roughly the past year, maybe 9 months since I was last doing the Value for Value show. And I went, okay, I need to get all of this out of my head and explain these just concepts, these ideas that I was having, and why I think they're going to change the world. Why micropayments and value for value, I think, is pretty much in 10 years' time going to be one of the main ways competing with advertising in terms of how digital content creators monetize and live, basically. So if a lot of this is going to be based around that. I had about 18 different chapters in there, which once again is kind of how many chapters I do or how many episodes I do in a season. And some of this is talking about going from the original version of podcasting, why podcasting 2.0, what this innovation is, the value for value overview, some of the properties all of these things share with Bitcoin, and then examples of, okay, this is how streaming sats works. This is what a boostergram is. Some of the actual statistics of how value for value has been going for the mere mortals. And I can tell you it's been going pretty good. And some of these other examples of the ecosystem and how more things are coming into this with music writing and video. So lots of really cool stuff coming on there. And yeah, this was basically going to be how I will do this next season. And it's going to be really, really based off of this. So if you want basically a really condensed version of what this whole season is going to be about, click on the link that's in the chapter description here, and it will take you to the Mere Mortals episode that I did, which will give you the kind of full overview. So let's go into the schedule. What time am I going to be releasing this? Well, I will be going live on a Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. my time. That is a time that I am pretty reasonable, that I can be consistent with over the next coming months. And so this is 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time here in Brisbane, which is where I live. This is 1 a.m. in London. Sorry, London people, you're going to struggle a little bit, and people in Europe. This is going to be 5 p.m. in Los Angeles, so that a PDT. I'm not exactly sure what that time actually is, what that stands for. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time in the US is 8 p.m. And then Universal Coordinated Time, I believe that is bang on midnight. So yeah, those are the times wherever you are in the world, just try and relate that to exactly where you live as well. And then I'll release the actual episode later in the evening. So probably about 9 hours after I go live, something like that. So that'll be released at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, Australian Eastern Standard Time, which will be 10 a.m. Universal Coordinated Time, 6 a.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m., 1 p.m. London time, things like that. So yeah, that's the schedule. And I will be doing this once a week. So it'll be a weekly episode coming out. So this will last for roughly probably about three-ish months, 4-ish, something like that, I think. Now, the format and style, I think it'll be very similar to the other episodes that I've created. So probably about 30 minutes long, relatively free form. I will have notes here, but I'm not going to edit out ums and ers, and there will be a purpose. I will know what I'm talking about, but it just won't be as polished as you'll hear some of the really detailed episodes that some of the other big podcasting studios and things like that have created. I'm not going to be doing YouTube. I don't think. The only reason for that would be for the chat room, but I do hope to set up a Kiwi client or something like that. I will actually need some help from people, because even just getting to this stage was relatively complex for me. So yeah, definitely some help on how I can perhaps set up a chat or anything like that. And yeah, the sections, what's actually going to be in it? Well, I think I will have obviously an introduction. I'll get into the main topic, which will be based off of one of those chapters from that Mere Mortals episode that I talked about. And I will have some value for value definitely in there of how you can help support this show and help support other shows in particular. Some tips for perhaps podcasters who are looking to get into value for value and want maybe just some extra little things that I've noticed have worked well for me. And then I'm really open to suggestions to what people want to hear. So I can do maybe a podcasting 2.0 roundup, what has been happening in the latest week. I could talk about the tags and go into some of the tags in detail, how you can improve your show and make your show better for your audience. I can talk about some of the apps and how you can help use these or direct your audience to use things that will enable value for value in a better, stronger way. So yeah, I'm open to suggestions. I can also do things like I won't have a live guest. I was thinking about doing this, but no, that'll be so much effort and would be rather complex. I was thinking about doing, maybe I could talk about real life examples of busking and how that relates to value for value, how Radio had released an album in a value for value style and it works very well for them. How other musicians have done this over the years. I believe it was the Grateful Dead who did something like this as well. I'm open to suggestions. So if there's something that they want to hear, a type of value for value or something they think will work through the show, send through some Boostergram or a message to me, and I'll definitely consider that. And then I will have the Boostergram Lounge at the end, and value for value. So it has been a fair minute since the last season, and I do have a bunch of boosts to thank out people for help supporting the show. So I will go over to there now, and here's the Boostergram Lounge.
Welcome to the Value for Value Boostergram Lounge.
The Boostergram Lounge, this is the section where people can boost into the show, so show some support by using value for value by the monetary aspect of it. And I like to thank everyone who has helped support the show, make it happen, and gives me the drive, the energy to continue. So I did boost myself, a little bit of self-boosting a couple of times to send on some sats from last time before I set up all the splits. So if you go on to the episode previous to this, you'll see that I set up a 23 split. So for every time that you boost that particular episode, it will go off to all the different shows that helped I reviewed in that season 2. So I got 10,000 sets here from Oscar Merry saying test boost for the 23 record splits, lightning bolt. Yes, and it definitely did work. And it still actually has worked because I did a test one in April a couple of months ago, and it was still working fine. Got Cole McCormick here from the America Plus podcast, 5,000 sats. I'm boosting this from the future. Value for value works. Fire emoji, rocket ship. Yes, it does, Cole. Thank you. Cole is very, very good at doing the value for value as well with his show America Plus, and he's got some real interesting, intriguing stuff. Check out the episode I did on America Plus on this very podcast myself. It was probably, I'll say like 6 episodes back from this one. We had clewd, boosted 10,000 sats in. Keep up the hard work, Kyrin. Your show is great. Listen, I've consistently used it to find new book and podcast recommendations. I can't wait for season 3. Apologies for making you wait so long, almost a year. Claudio. So that was Claudio from, it's not podcasting for value, it's from the Clewdcast. Claudio, I think is how his name is pronounced. And then we had just some messages coming in. Floydian Slips boosting in. Thanks for the review of my show and all the other value for value shows. Looking forward to more. Indeed, here is more for you, Josh. Thank you so much. So that is Josh from the Podcasting for Value show with the number 4. And then we have Genebean here. This is from the Volunteer Technologist. Boosted 25,000 sats. I listened to the entire series at the suggestion of At Behind the Schemes podcast, index.social, in preparation for my new podcast, Volunteer Technologist. Thanks for all the good info, and I look forward to season 3 after you have a good break. I did have a good break. Thank you, mate. And he said, this show helped me in another boost, an elite boost, 1337. This show helped me in getting ready to publish The Volunteer Technologist, and specifically in figuring out a pitch. I'd love to hear what you think of the show and the pitch at the end. So yeah, I have been checking out The Volunteer Technologist. I think one of the things that he'll struggle with is he has been doing interviews on that show, which I've noticed, and it has been, he hasn't included a pitch at the end. This is something that I myself have been thinking with the Mere Mortals and branching off the conversations that we have, because I've always just done them and just done an intro to the guest, had the actual conversation, and then cut it. What I'm sort of thinking is it might be worth adding something onto the end just before you're about to release the episode of, maybe giving your own thoughts of the conversation, a little bit of extra, and just adding a value for value section in there, so you're not wasting your guest time, I guess, doing the value for value pitch and reading things out, which they might not be that appreciative of or not understanding of, and you can just do that post. That's something I've been thinking of doing. So Genebean, that's maybe something you'll want to try as well. And then I did a 1000 sat boost to myself, testing to see how many splits still worked. They all still worked. That is crazy. I did that about 6 months, maybe even 7 months after the full episode had been released, and all the splits still worked. It was beautiful. That is so cool. So definitely worth checking out doing that. So the value for value, what is the value for value show, and how can you show your support? Well, there's time, talent, and treasure are the three kind of monikers that we use to denote the different ways that you can send in support to this show. Time is simply by sending it to another podcast. It's doing something that takes part of your time up. It shouldn't take too many of your resources, and it's just something that you can do, which will help promote the show to other people. You can deliver value to another podcaster who's maybe struggling with advertising, which is a kind of common thing happening in these last couple of months due to the economic downturn, the recession that's probably coming, and things like this. So sending this to another podcaster who's maybe looking at another way to monetize their show would be very, very helpful for them, I think, and also for me, because I like it when people listen to me. So that is one way you can spend some time. You can also join in on the live show and help create an audience, a community that I'm trying to establish a little bit here. So more details on how to do that, but I would definitely just say check out any of the Podcasting 2.0 apps. I know I'm definitely live on Curocaster. I'm definitely live on Fountain, and I should hopefully be on the Podverse and Podfriend in the near future once I just get those, do some checks up on them, and Podfans as well. So that is one way you can do time. Talent, I would very much appreciate anyone who has knowledge of running an IRC chat in particular. If they can just give me some quick details of things that I can research, or a link to a video of how I can get this set up. If you think my audio is kind of dodgy, or if there's a way that I can boost that, if there's a way you think I can make this live experience better, I would very, very much appreciate that. So that is a talent that someone has, that they are perhaps an audio engineer, perhaps they're a good marketer, perhaps they know more about value for value than I am. Perhaps they know, intricate details of whatever that they are an expert in, and sending some of that talent to me, letting me know, oh, this is probably how you want to do this thing. This is how you want to do this. That is very, very much appreciated, the talent. And then the treasure. This is where you can send in your support to the show. So we will have two ways of doing this. The one that I promote the most and is the most fun and is really it's the future. It's the future of podcasting. It's the future of digital content, is doing value for value directly within the app location that you are listening in. The beautiful thing in this is that there is a thriving open ecosystem where you can do this. So I mentioned a couple of the podcast apps just then. I will mention a couple more. On Podcast Guru, you can send in a boost. On let me just bring up my full list of apps here. If you go to podcastindex.org /apps, you will see the full suite of them there. So we also have Podcast Addict, which has the chapters and the funding. We have Podfriend, Curocaster, Dystopia. It's one I actually haven't used that much. Fountain, obviously. Castomatic, can't forget Castomatic. That's so good. Breeze, I know some Bitcoiners who use Breeze. Anytime Podcast Player, many of these don't have all of them, but many of them do have a lot. So you will get a better experience going to some of these apps because you will see the chapters appearing in your app, and you will see images appearing. You will see the transcripts appearing. You will see links in the chapters to different things that I'm talking about. So I will just recommend trying out one of these apps and then sending in a boost. And a boost is a message. A boostagram is when there is a message attached to a amount of Satoshis. So this is a portion of Bitcoin that you choose, essentially money. Bitcoin is money. So it's just sending money through to me directly within the app itself. And I read out all of these messages at the end of each episode, thanking everyone from the previous week so that you know that I have received the support and I know, obviously, that you are enjoying the show. So this is pretty much how I want to really emphasize to people. There is a PayPal. So if you go on to meremodelspodcast.com/support, and you will see a way to support that. I will also have that in the funding tag. So if you see the $sign within your actual app itself, you can support the show via that way. And I will read out any messages or any fiat money that is sent in via that way. But definitely the thing that I'm emphasizing is the value for value. Now, you might be asking, okay, but why? Why should I do that? Yeah, sure, maybe it's a little bit easier in the app once I go through the process of getting some Bitcoin, putting it on the Lightning Network and funding my wallet and things like that. But that's so hard, Kyrin. The point of this is the splits. The splits are a really, really powerful feature because it lets me thank people and send money to people who are really helping me out. So, for example, for this episode, I'm going to put Todd Cochran in as a 15% split because he helped me a lot in finding out, using the Blueberry service, sending me some emails, allowing me to connect to a stream that he'd already set up, kind of hand-holding me in a way of actually being able to use and going live. So I'm going to put him in as a split. So for every Satoshi, every 100 Satoshis that you send in, 15 of them will go to him. And then 1% is going to the podcast index, which helps encourage this ecosystem, which helps make sure that podcasting stays open and decentralized. And 4% is also going to Fountain because they are the ones who I use to manage my wallet, to manage the splits, to enable me to do these really cool things. So this is also the reason why I very much encourage people to send in some support using these apps, because you can use any of them. They all acknowledge that, okay, this is what Kyrin wants. He wants this portion of money to go to here, to Todd, this portion to go to the index, this portion to go to Fountain. And I will be changing that in the future. So I will also have suggestions. Is there anyone that you think is doing really cool things? Is there an app that you use a lot? I'm really open to, and I want to encourage the applications, people, everyone doing really cool work and enabling value for value to work. So if you know anyone who you think is deserving or is doing something behind the scenes that helps make all of this work, please, once again, send me a message, send me a boost. But you can also send me a message via any of the contact links down in the show notes, and I will very much, once again, consider them. And this is a collaborative effort, and I really just want value for value to succeed, because then it succeeds for everyone and it's not just for myself. So thank you everyone for joining in. I'm going to quickly check out the Mastodon and just see if anyone has left any notes or anything. John Spurlock, once again, I'll probably include him on a boost sometime because he's doing a lot of cool things with Podping and whatnot. There's lots of cool stuff going on. So I'm going to leave it in your hands. The Value for Value podcast will be coming back next week at this time. And I really do want to encourage support. I really do want to encourage people to help. And by support, I'm not necessarily meaning monetary support. I mean encouraging people to understand more about the value for value lifestyle and how this can change your life as it has changed mine. And you will hear about this in the upcoming season. So that is it for today. Kyrin here from the Mere Mortals. And until the next time, ciao for now.